Hi, dear friend. You've found a quiet place to rest and dream. Tonight we'll journey to the moon, where silence holds ancient secrets, and the ground beneath whispers stories older than memory itself. Let yourself settle now. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. The world you know has grown distant and soft, and here, in this moment, you are safe. You are held. All you need to do is breathe, slowly, gently, and let the day fall quietly behind you. Tonight you'll walk beside me across a landscape that has waited 4.5 billion years. And as we listen together, you'll discover that rest comes not from silence alone, but from understanding the quiet music that plays beneath everything. I am standing on the surface of my boots rest on dust so fine it feels like powder, gray and ancient, untouched by wind or rain for longer than continents have existed on Earth. Above me, the sky is perfectly black, a darkness so complete it seems to have weight and texture. There are no clouds here, no atmosphere to scatter light, no blue to soften the harshness of space. Just stars, thousands upon thousands of them, burning with a clarity you've never seen from Earth. And there, hanging in that black sky like a blue and white jewel, Earth. Small enough that I could hide it behind my thumb, yet containing everything I've ever known, everyone I've ever loved, every story ever told. But I haven't come here to look up. Tonight, I've come to listen down. You see, the moon is not silent, not truly. For decades, we believed it was a dead world, geologically inactive, a cold stone spinning through the void. But the Apollo missions taught us something remarkable. They left seismometers on the surface, instruments so sensitive they could detect vibrations smaller than the width of an atom. And those instruments revealed something unexpected. The moon hums, it trembles. Deep within its ancient body, there are echoes, whispers of movement, the faint memory of a time when this world was young and molten. I'm kneeling now, placing my gloved hand against the regolith, the layer of broken rock and dust that covers everything here. It's cold, far colder than any winter night on Earth. Without an atmosphere to trap heat, the surface temperature in shadow drops to nearly 250 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. But where the sun touches, it soars to 250 above. These extremes, this constant swing between fire and ice, have shaped this landscape for eons, cracking rocks, grinding them slowly into powder. Beneath my hand I can feel it, not with my skin, not through the thick layers of my suit, but through the sensors built into my glove. A vibration, so faint, so subtle, it's almost lost in the background hum of my life support systems. But it's there, a pulse, a rhythm, the moon, breathing in its own way. Let your own breath slow now, matching that ancient rhythm. In slowly, out gently. There's no hurry here. Time moves differently on the moon. A day here lasts 29.5 Earth days. Sunrise to sunrise, darkness to darkness. The moon takes its time, patient and unhurried. You can be unhurried too. Let your muscles soften. Let your thoughts drift like dust settling after a footstep. These vibrations I'm feeling, they come from deep within. Some are moon quakes, tiny tremors caused by the gravitational pull of Earth. Yes, just as the moon pulls on Earth's oceans, creating tides that rise and fall along every coastline, Earth pulls on the moon. And though the moon has no oceans, no water to move, the rock itself flexes and bends. Deep quakes occur hundreds of miles below the surface, where the moon's interior is still slightly warm, still responding to forces older than memory. These quakes are small, gentle, nothing like the violent earthquakes that shake our home planet. They're more like a slow sigh, a subtle reminder that even ancient things can still feel, still respond, still carry the memory of formation. Other vibrations come from impacts. Even now, meteorites strike the moon's surface. Without an atmosphere to burn them up, every piece of cosmic debris, from grains of sand to boulders the size of houses, reaches the ground intact. Most are small, creating tiny craters that add to the billions already scattered across this scarred face. But each impact sends waves through the regolith, ringing the moon like a bell. The Apollo astronauts discovered this by accident. When they jettisoned part of their spacecraft, letting it crash back to the surface, the seismometers recorded vibrations that lasted for hours. The moon rang like a gong, humming and resonating in ways that stone shouldn't, suggesting that its interior might be partially hollow, or at least structured, in ways we still don't fully understand. I'm standing again now, looking across the landscape. It's beautiful in a stark, alien way. Hills rise in the distance, their edges sharp and clear in the airless void. There are no sounds here except those I make, the hiss of oxygen flowing through my suit, the faint crackle of radio transmissions from Earth, the soft whir of cooling pumps. But beneath all that, if I filter it out, if I listen with instruments instead of ears, I can hear the moon's voice, and it's telling me stories. You don't need to stay awake for all of these stories. If sleep comes, let it come. The universe will keep spinning, the moon will keep humming, and you'll be safe in the darkness, cradled by the same forces that hold planets in their orbits and stars in their galaxies. Rest is not weakness. Rest is the natural state of all things. Even the moon rests, waiting in the long shadows of its own slow rotation. One of the stories the moon tells is about violence. This world was born from catastrophe. 4.5 billion years ago, when Earth was young, barely 100 million years old, something massive struck it. A Mars-sized body, which we now call Theia, collided with the early Earth in an impact so powerful it defies imagination. The energy released was enough to vaporize rock, to turn solid matter into clouds of superheated gas that spread across space. Earth's outer layers were blown away, mixed with the remains of Theia, and that material formed a ring around our wounded planet. Over time, that ring coalesced, clumped together under its own gravity, and became the moon. So this world I'm standing on, this ancient companion that has watched over Earth for billions of years, is made from the shattered remains of two planets. It's a child of violence, born from destruction, yet it has become something beautiful, something essential. Without the moon, Earth would be different. Its axis would wobble wildly, seasons would be chaotic, tides would be weak. Life itself might not have emerged in the same way. From catastrophe came stability. From destruction came the conditions for. There's something comforting in that even the worst moments, the most chaotic and painful events, can lead to something necessary, something that helps other things. You don't need to understand it all right now. You don't need to figure anything out. Just rest in the knowledge that the universe has always found ways to create beauty from chaos, order from disorder, and that you are part of that same unfolding story. I'm walking now, each step slow and dreamlike. Here, I weigh only a sixth of what every movement feels easier, as if I could float away if I wasn't careful. My footprints press into the regolith, leaving marks that will remain for millions of years. There's no wind to erase them, no rain to wash them smooth. Every footprint left by the Apollo astronauts is still there, perfectly preserved, waiting. Future visitors, centuries or millennia from now, will be able to trace their paths, to see exactly where they walked, where they planted flags, where they collected rocks that would tell humanity the secrets of deep time. The rocks here are old, so incomprehensibly old that human lifetimes seem like the blink of an eye. Some of the samples brought back from the Apollo missions have been dated to 4.4 billion years. That's only 150 million years after the solar system itself formed. These stones remember the chaos of creation, when planets were still forming, when orbits were unstable, when massive impacts were common. They remember a time before life existed anywhere, before oceans filled Earth's basins, before continents drifted across the globe. When I pick up a rock here, I'm holding something that has remained essentially unchanged for longer than life has existed on Earth. It's humbling. It makes my own concerns, my worries, my plans seem small and temporary. And there is a strange peace in that smallness, in recognizing that I am brief, that my time is limited, but that I'm part of something vast and ongoing. The universe doesn't need me to understand it to continue. It will keep unfolding whether I'm watching or not. And that means I can let go, release my grip on control, and simply be here, in this moment, experiencing this ancient place. Let your own grip loosen now. Whatever you're holding on to, mentally or physically, you can release it. Your jaw can soften, your shoulders can drop, your hands can open. You are allowed to stop trying, stop planning, stop figuring things out. The night will take care of itself, and so will you. The vibrations beneath the surface continue, and I've set up more sensitive equipment now, instruments that can detect not just the physical tremors, but the electromagnetic echoes as well. You see, the moon passes through Earth's magnetotail once a month, a region where Earth's magnetic field is stretched out by the solar wind. During those few days, charged particles from Earth's magnetosphere interact with the lunar surface, creating subtle electrical currents, faint magnetic signatures. In a way, the moon is listening to Earth, receiving transmissions from its parent world, feeling the touch of home even across the vast emptiness between us. And what does Earth send? Stories of storms, the movements of continents, the dance of charged particles in the upper atmosphere. Every lightning strike on Earth creates a pulse of electromagnetic energy that ripples outward. Some of that energy reaches the moon, gets absorbed by the rocks, leaves a trace. So in a very real sense, the moon has been recording Earth's electrical activity for billions of years. Every storm, every aurora, every magnetic fluctuation has left its mark, written into the molecular structure of lunar minerals. If we knew how to read that record properly, we could reconstruct Earth's magnetic history, trace the evolution of our atmosphere, understand how our planet has changed. It's like the moon has been taking notes, writing a journal of Earth's life, keeping a record that we're only now beginning to learn how to read. And that makes this place not just a destination, not just a stepping stone to other worlds, but a library, an archive of our own history, preserved in stone and dust and silence. I'm sitting now cross-legged on the regolith, as comfortable as I can be in this bulky suit. The Earth hangs above me, slowly rotating, clouds swirling across its face. From here, I can see entire continents, oceans vast enough to swallow thousands of moons. I can see the thin blue line of atmosphere, that fragile shell that keeps everything alive, that separates warmth and breath from the cold void. It looks so delicate from here, so temporary. And yet, it has persisted for billions of years, held in place by gravity, replenished by life itself. A self-sustaining system of incredible complexity. Sometimes, when I'm here, when I'm this far from everything familiar, I feel a strange doubling of perspective. Part of me is here, sitting on this ancient dust, feeling the cold through my suit, watching Earth from 250,000 miles away. But another part of me remembers being down there, looking up at the moon, wondering what it would be like to stand on its surface. And now I know it's quiet, it's strange, it's beautiful in ways that language struggles to capture, and it's deeply, profoundly lonely, but not in a bad way. It's the loneliness of vastness, of space so large that individual lives become part of something grander, something that doesn't depend on being seen or understood to have meaning. You are allowed to feel that too, that sense of being small in a large universe. It's not frightening, it's freeing. You don't have to carry the weight of everything. You don't have to solve every problem or understand every mystery. You can simply be a small, temporary collection of atoms that happens to be conscious, aware, capable of wonder. And that's enough. That's more than enough. It's actually extraordinary. The vibrations continue beneath me, and I'm recording everything, storing data that scientists back on Earth will spend years analyzing. But right now, in this moment, the data doesn't matter as much as the experience. I'm here. I'm present. I'm feeling the connection between worlds, the invisible threads of gravity and magnetism and light that bind everything together. The moon doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a system dancing with Earth, influenced by the sun, bombarded by particles from across the solar system. Nothing is truly alone. Everything is connected, responding to forces both near and far, shaping and being shaped by everything else. Even you, right now, wherever you are, whatever you're resting on, you're connected to all of this. The atoms in your body were forged in stars, scattered across space by supernovae, gathered into the cloud that formed our solar system, incorporated into Earth, cycled through life for billions of years. You are made of stardust, quite literally, and so is the moon, and so is everything. We're all part of the same story, the same cosmic narrative that began nearly 14 billion years ago and continues now, in this moment, in your breath, in your heartbeat, in the slow drift of your thoughts toward sleep. Let those thoughts drift. You don't need to hold on to them, like dust settling after a footstep. Let your mind grow quiet, soft. There's no test later, no need to remember every detail. This is just time spent in the presence of something larger, something patient, something that has existed long before you and will continue long after. And there's deep comfort in that continuity, in being part of a universe that knows how to create and destroy and create again, endlessly, without needing permission or approval. I'm lying back. They're so bright here, undiminished by atmosphere or light pollution. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a river of light. Billions of stars, our galactic home. Each of those points of light is a sun, many with their own planets, their own moons, their own stories. Some of those stars have already died, their light still traveling toward us across the vast distances of space. When I look at them, I'm seeing the past, looking backward in time, watching light that left its source hundreds or thousands of years ago. The universe doesn't just exist in space. It exists in time, layered and deep, every moment preserved in the light that continues to travel outward, carrying information, carrying stories. And perhaps that's what these vibrations are too. Stories carried through stone instead of light, traveling not across space but through time, from the moon's formation to this moment, from violence to stillness, from chaos to peace. Everything that has ever happened to this world is recorded somehow, somewhere, in the structure of its rocks, the patterns of its craters, the subtle variations in its gravitational field. We just have to learn how to listen, how to read the language of stone and dust and silence. There are so many forms of communication in the universe: light, sound, gravity waves, electromagnetic radiation, chemical signals. Life on Earth has mastered many of these, creating complex languages, songs, scents, colors, patterns. But the universe itself was communicating long before life existed, broadcasting its properties through physical laws, through the behavior of matter and energy. And in a sense, everything is always listening, always responding. Planets respond to stars, moons respond to planets, particles respond to fields. It's all one vast conversation happening on scales both tiny and enormous, from the quantum realm to the cosmological, from the infinitesimal to the infinite. You don't need to understand the conversation to be part of it. You already are. Your body is responding right now to gravity, holding you in place. Your cells are responding to oxygen, to glucose, to countless chemical signals. Your brain is responding to these words, to the images they create, to the feelings they evoke. You are part of the universal conversation, speaking and listening in ways both conscious and unconscious, deliberate and automatic. And right now, in this moment, the most important message is simple. You are safe, you are tired, and sleep is near. The moon rocks around me are basalt, volcanic stone that flowed across this surface billions of years ago when the moon was still geologically active. There were volcanoes here, massive eruptions that filled the low-lying basins with lava, creating the dark plains we call Maria, the seas that early astronomers mistook for water. But that was long ago, and now the volcanoes are silent, the magma chambers deep below have cooled and solidified, and the surface is cold and still. But even in that stillness, there is beauty. The Maria are smooth and dark, contrasting with the bright, heavily cratered highland. From Earth you can see these patterns with the naked eye, the face of the moon, that familiar arrangement of light and dark that has watched over humanity since before we were human. Our ancestors looked up at this same moon, told stories about it, used it to mark time, to navigate, to dream. The moon has been a constant companion through all of human history, through the rise and fall of civilizations, through wars and peace, through every individual life, every moment of joy or sorrow or wonder, and it will continue. Long after we're gone individually, and perhaps even as a species, the moon will still be here, still orbiting Earth, still reflecting sunlight, still creating tides, still keeping records in its ancient stones. There's something both sad and comforting about that thought. Sad because it reminds us of our impermanence, but comforting because it suggests that the universe is larger than our individual concerns, that beauty and wonder will continue, that the story goes on. You can go on too, into sleep, into dreams, into rest. The story doesn't require your attention. It will unfold whether you're watching or not. And that means you can let go, release your hold on wakefulness, and trust that everything will be here when you wake, that the universe will have continued without needing your supervision. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to not know what happens next. You're allowed to simply be without effort or struggle or strain. The vibrations beneath me have shifted slightly. There's a pattern now, a rhythm that my instruments are beginning to recognize. It's a resonance, a harmonic. The moon responding to the gravitational pull of Earth as we orbit our common center of mass. Yes, even Earth moves in response to the moon, shifting slightly in its orbit, wobbling just enough that astronomers have to account for it in their calculations. The two bodies are locked in a dance that has lasted for billions of years, gradually slowing, gradually separating as tidal forces transfer angular momentum between them. Long ago, the moon was much closer to Earth, looming huge in the sky, creating massive tides that may have been important for the development of life. Back then, days were shorter, only about 6 hours long, and the moon orbited Earth in just a fraction of the time it takes now. But tidal friction has been slowing Earth's rotation and pushing the moon away, inch by inch, year by year. Eventually, billions of years from now, the two will become tidally locked, always showing the same face to each other, orbiting once every 47 days. Earth will hang motionless in the moon's sky, and the moon will hang motionless in Earth's, forever facing each other, frozen in a final embrace. But that's so far in the future that it's almost meaningless. The sun will have evolved by then, swelling into a red giant, possibly consuming both worlds. The universe is patient, but it's also finite in certain ways. Stars are born and die. Planets form and are destroyed. Even galaxies eventually merge or fly apart. Nothing lasts forever, not in the physical sense, but the patterns persist. The laws of physics continue. The dance of matter and energy goes on, taking new forms, creating new structures, endlessly inventive, endlessly creative. And in that endless creativity, not the naive hope that everything will be fine, but the deeper hope that comes from recognizing that the universe knows how to make interesting things, complex things, beautiful things, even from simple rules. Life on Earth is proof of that. From basic chemistry, given enough time and the right conditions, the universe created cells, organisms, ecosystems, consciousness, love, art, science. All of that emerged from matter following natural laws, without guidance or plan, just the inevitable unfolding of possibility. You emerged the same way, from the same process, the same cosmic creativity. You are the universe looking at itself, thinking about it, wondering about it. And right now, you're also the universe getting ready to rest, to turn inward, to let consciousness fade into the gentler realm of sleep. That's not a failure or a weakness. That's part of the natural cycle, the rhythm of activity and rest that governs everything from atoms to stars. Even the universe itself may rest, expanding and cooling until the last stars die and darkness reigns, before possibly being reborn in some way we can't yet imagine. But that's not tonight's concern. Tonight, the only rest that matters is yours. The only darkness that beckons is the soft, welcoming darkness behind your eyelids, where dreams wait, where the mind can process and integrate, where healing happens. Sleep is not absence. Sleep is presence in a different mode, a different state, equally valuable, equally real. And it's waiting for you now, patient as the moon, constant as gravity, inevitable as time. I'm standing again, taking one more walk across this ancient circle. My shadow is long and sharp in the sunlight, stretching across the regolith like a sundial, marking the passage of time. But time is strange here. Without weather, without erosion, without life, change happens so slowly, it's almost imperceptible. A footprint will remain for millions of years. A rock, once placed, will stay exactly where it is unless struck by a meteorite or moved by. There's a permanence here that doesn't exist on Earth, where wind and water and life are constantly reshaping everything, wearing down mountains, filling valleys, moving stone and soil in endless cycles. But that permanence is also a kind of death. Without change, there's no growth, no evolution, no possibility of new forms emerging. Earth is alive in ways the moon is not, constantly churning, constantly creating, constantly destroying and rebuilding. The price of that vitality is impermanence. Nothing on Earth lasts. Mountains are worn down, coastlines shift, species go extinct, civilizations rise and fall. Even the continents themselves are temporary, riding on plates that drift across the man, colliding and separating in cycles that take hundreds of millions of years. The moon preserves, Earth creates. Both are necessary, both are beautiful. And you, right now, are poised between them. Part of you wants to preserve this moment, hold on to it, remember it. But another part knows that to truly experience it, you have to let it flow, let it change, let it give way to the next moment and the next. You can't hold water by closing your fist. You can only feel it by letting it run through your fingers. The same is true of time, of experience, of life. The tighter you grip, the more you lose. The more you relax, the more you can actually feel. So relax now. Let your grip loosen. Let time flow. Let this moment give way to the next and the next, until the moments blur together and you drift into sleep, where time becomes fluid and strange, where hours pass in what feels like seconds, where impossible things happen naturally and without question. Dreams are the mind's way of processing, of making sense of experience, of practicing and planning and playing. They're important even when they seem nonsensical, especially when they seem nonsensical. The strange logic of dreams is closer to the actual logic of the unconscious mind, which doesn't think in words and linear sequences, but in associations and patterns and feelings. The moon doesn't dream. It has no unconscious, no processing. It simply is, existing in the present moment, responding to forces but not interpreting them, not creating meaning from them. In a way, it's like pure being, without the overlay of. There's something appealing about that simplicity, that directness. But it's also what makes consciousness special, makes your experience unique and valuable. You don't just exist, you experience existing. You feel, think, wonder, create meaning, tell stories. And even when those stories are just for yourself, even when they're dreams that fade upon waking, they matter. They're part of what makes you human, what makes you alive in a way that stone, however ancient and beautiful, is not. The instruments around me are still recording, still capturing the subtle vibrations, the electromagnetic whispers, the gravitational variations. Later, teams of scientists will analyze this data, looking for patterns, testing hypotheses, trying to understand the moon's structure and history. Some of what they find will confirm existing theories. Some will surprise them, forcing them to revise their models, to think in new ways. That's how science works, through cycles of observation and interpretation, prediction and testing, always refining, always getting closer to accurate understanding, but never quite reaching perfect knowledge. There's always more to learn, always another layer of complexity, always new questions arising from answered ones. And that's okay. In fact, it's wonderful. A universe that could be completely understood would be a boring universe, static and simple, without mystery or wonder. The universe we actually inhabit is endlessly complex, layered and deep, full of surprises and puzzles and beauty that reveals itself slowly, reluctantly, requiring patience and attention and humility. We're not the center of it. We're not the point of it. We're just part of it, temporary arrangements of matter that happen to be conscious, aware, capable of asking questions and occasionally finding answers. You don't need all the answers tonight. You don't need to solve any puzzles or understand any mysteries. You can simply rest in the presence of wonder itself, in the feeling of being alive, of existing in a universe vast and strange and beautiful beyond comprehension. That feeling, that sense of awe and connection, is enough. It's more than enough. It's everything. I'm heading back now, walking slowly toward the lunar module, that small bubble of Earth atmosphere and gravity that will carry me home. But part of me doesn't want to leave. Part of me wants to stay here, alone with the stars and the ancient stones, listening to the vibrations that speak of deep time and vast distances. There's a purity to this place, an honesty. The moon doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is. It doesn't hide or disguise itself. Every scar, every crater, every ancient lava flow is visible, written on its surface for anyone to see. It's a world without secrets, at least on the surface. Everything is revealed in the harsh light of the sun, but beneath the surface, mysteries remain. The vibrations I've been recording hint at structures we don't fully understand, at a history more complex than we imagined. There may be caves down there, lava tubes large enough to hold entire cities, protected from radiation and temperature extremes. There may be pockets of ice in permanently shadowed craters, water that could sustain future explorers, that could be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen for fuel and breathing. There may be minerals we've never seen, formed under conditions that don't exist on Earth. The moon still has secrets to share, stories to tell, knowledge to give. But those discoveries will wait. Right now, in this moment, what matters is the experience itself, the feeling of being here, of standing on another world, of looking back at Earth and seeing it as it truly is. A small, fragile, beautiful world spinning in the darkness, the only home humanity has ever known. From here, all our differences seem trivial. National borders are invisible. Conflicts and divisions fade into insignificance. What remains is the simple, overwhelming fact of Earth's beauty, its uniqueness, its preciousness. We haven't found another world like it. We may never find another world. We should take care of it, and we should take care of each other and ourselves. Part of taking care of yourself is allowing rest, allowing recovery, allowing the body and mind to restore themselves. You've been awake long enough. You've thought enough, done enough, tried enough for one day. Now it's time to let go, to surrender to sleep, to trust that tomorrow will come whether you worry about it or not, whether you plan for it or not. The universe has been taking care of business for 14 billion years without your help. It can manage one more night. The earth hangs in the sky above me, blue and white and beautiful, clouds swirling in patterns that repeat on every scale, from the smallest eddies to massive storm systems thousands of miles across. Chaos and order, mixing and separating, creating patterns of incredible complexity from simple rules. Weather is like that. Economics is like that. Even thought is like that. Ideas colliding and combining, creating new patterns, new possibilities. You are a pattern too, a temporary arrangement that has taken shape, maintained itself for a while, and will eventually dissolve back into simpler components. But while you exist, while you're here, you have the extraordinary privilege of experiencing existence, of feeling and thinking and wondering. Don't waste that privilege on worry. Don't spend your precious awareness on things you can't control. Be here, now, as fully as you can. And when being here becomes too tiring, when awareness itself becomes a burden, let it go. Let yourself drift into sleep, into dreams, into the deeper rest that comes when the conscious mind finally stops trying to manage everything and allows the unconscious to take over. Your body knows how to sleep. Your brain knows how to dream. You don't have to do anything. You just have to stop preventing it, stop holding on. I'm at the module now, preparing to climb back inside, to seal myself in, to begin the journey home. But I'm taking one last look around, one last moment to absorb this place, to feel its presence, to listen to its vibrations. The moon is patient. It will wait. It will be here when we come back, whether that's next year or next century. It will preserve our footprints, our flags, our equipment, keeping them safe in the airless silence, waiting for the day when others arrive to see what we left behind, to continue the exploration we began. And perhaps they'll bring better instruments, more sensitive equipment, capable of detecting vibrations we can't yet hear, of reading records we don't yet know how to. Perhaps they'll discover things that will change our understanding of the moon, of Earth, of the solar system's history. Perhaps they'll find answers to questions we haven't yet thought to ask. Science is like that, always revealing new mysteries, new horizons, new reasons to wonder. But wonder doesn't require answers. Wonder is complete in itself. You can wonder about things without understanding them, without solving them, without reducing them to equations or explanations. In fact, sometimes explanation diminishes wonder, makes things seem smaller, more mundane, less magical. The moon is more wonderful, not less, for being understood as a world with its own history, its own processes, its own subtle complexities. But it was also wonderful before we understood any of that, when it was just a bright disk in the sky, a mysterious presence that seemed to watch over Earth, that waxed and waned in perfect cycles, that pulled on oceans and perhaps on human moods as well. You can be wonderful too, mysterious and complex, not fully understood even by yourself. You don't have to have yourself figured out. You don't have to know exactly who you are or what you want or where you're going. You can be a work in progress, always changing, always discovering new aspects of yourself, new capabilities, new limitations, new questions. That's not a problem to solve. That's the nature of being alive, of existing in time, of growing and changing and adapting to new circumstances. So be gentle with yourself. Be patient. Allow yourself to not know, to not have answers, to simply exist in the question, in the uncertainty, in the unfolding mystery of your own life. And right now, in this moment, allow yourself to rest, to stop questioning, to stop searching, to simply be here, drifting gently toward sleep, held by forces you don't need to understand, supported by a universe that, despite its vastness and indifference, has somehow managed to create you, to bring you into existence, to give you this moment of awareness and wonder. The hatch closes behind me, sealing me inside the module. I can hear the hiss of air filling the cabin, the crackle of ice sublimating from my suit. Outside, the moon continues its slow dance, orbiting Earth, recording vibrations, preserving footprints, waiting with the patience of stone. Inside, I'm preparing to leave, to fire the engines that will lift me away from this surface, that will carry me back toward home, toward the blue world hanging in the black sky. But I'll come back. Somehow, someday, I'll return. Because the moon has more to teach, more to share, more vibrations to record, and mysteries to reveal. It's been waiting for billions of years. It can wait a little longer. And when I return, or when others come in my place, they'll find the same stark beauty, the same ancient dust, the same patient stones. The moon doesn't change quickly. It doesn't need to. It has time. And so do you. You have time to rest, time to dream, time to let the day end and the night deepen, and sleep finally arrive. You don't need to rush. You don't need to force anything. Sleep comes in its own time, gentle and inevitable as moonrise, natural as gravity. All you need to do is stop resisting, stop trying, stop holding on. Let your thoughts drift like dust settling after a footstep. Let your breath slow like the long lunar day. Let your body sink into whatever supports it, trusting that you're held, that you're safe. That morning will come when it comes, and until then, there's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be, no problem you need to solve. The engines fire, a brief burst of thrust that lifts the module off the surface. For a moment, I can see my footprints below, a trail leading from the landing site to the instruments and back. They look so small from here, so temporary, even though I know they'll last for millions of years. Everything is relative. What seems permanent up close becomes transient from a distance. What seems important in the moment fades when viewed from far enough away or enough time has passed. But that doesn't make the moment meaningless. If anything, it makes it more precious, more worthy of attention and care. This moment, right now, is all you have. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but this moment is real, immediate, alive. And in this moment, you're tired. Your body is ready to rest. Your mind is ready to let go. Sleep is waiting, patient as the moon, constant as the stars, inevitable as time itself. I'm rising now, ascending above the lunar surface, and I can see the curve of the horizon, the way the gray landscape drops away into shadow. The moon is small, so much smaller than Earth, and from altitude its curvature is obvious, a gentle arc against the absolute black of space. Below me, the craters form patterns, overlapping circles of every size, from tiny pits barely visible to massive basins hundreds of miles across. Each one tells a story of impact, of violence, of energy released in seconds that shape the landscape for eternity. But from up here, they look peaceful, like ripples in still water, frozen in stone. And still, through all my instruments, I can detect those vibrations, those echoes from below. They're fainter now, harder to distinguish from the background noise of my own systems. But they're there. The moon is still singing its quiet song, still humming its ancient tune, still carrying the memory of its formation and all that has happened since. And part of that song is about Earth, about the connection between these two worlds, about the dance they've shared for billions of years and will continue to share for billions more. You're part of that connection too. You're made of Earth, of matter that has cycled through the planet countless times, through rocks and water and air and living things. The calcium in your bones was once in ancient seas. The iron in your blood was forged in stars that died before the sun was. The carbon in your cells has been part of trees and animals and microbes, cycling through the biosphere for billions of years. You are Earth in a very real sense, a temporary expression of the planet's matter, arranged in a pattern that can think and feel and wonder, and right now that pattern is tired. The cells need rest, need time to repair and restore, need the deep recovery that only sleep can provide. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, strengthening important connections and pruning away unnecessary. Your body repairs damage, rebuilds tissues, fights infections, balances hormones. Sleep isn't passive. It's active restoration, essential maintenance, the foundation of health and well-being. Without it, everything suffers. Cognition, emotion, physical performance, immune function, all of it depends on adequate sleep. So when you sleep, you're not being lazy or unproductive. You're doing some of the most important work your body can do. You're investing in yourself, in your future health, in your capacity to engage with life tomorrow. Sleep is not a luxury. It's a necessity, as fundamental as food or water or air. And right now, your body is telling you it's time. Listen to it, trust it. Let it guide you into the rest you need. The module is climbing steadily, leaving the moon behind, heading for the orbital rendezvous that will begin my journey home. But I'm still thinking about those vibrations, about what they mean, about the stories they tell. In a way, everything in the universe is vibrating. Atoms vibrate, their electrons moving in quantum clouds. Molecules vibrate, bonds stretching and flexing. Solids vibrate at their resonant frequencies. Even space-time itself can vibrate when massive objects like black holes collide, sending gravitational waves rippling across the cosmos at the speed of light. We detected those gravitational waves for the first time in 2015, a signal from two black holes that merged over 1 billion years ago, their death spiral releasing more energy in a fraction of a second than all the stars in the visible universe combined. That energy warped space-time, creating ripples that spread outward in all directions, gradually weakening, but never quite disappearing. By the time those waves reached Earth, they were incredibly faint, stretching and compressing space by less than the width of a proton. But our instruments were sensitive enough to detect them, to hear the universe ringing like a bell, to confirm what Einstein had predicted a century earlier. Everything is connected through vibration, through waves and fields, through the fundamental forces that bind matter together and push it apart. Light is a vibration in electromagnetic fields. Sound is a vibration in matter. Gravity itself can vibrate, space-time, rippling like the surface of a pond. And somehow through all of this vibration, through all of this constant motion and change, stable structures emerge. Atoms form, molecules form, cells form, organisms form, ecosystems form, each level of organization arising from the level below, creating new properties, new possibilities, new forms of complexity. You are one of those emergent structures, a pattern of incredible complexity that has arisen from simpler components, that maintains itself through constant change, constantly exchanging matter and energy with its environment, while somehow remaining recognizably you. Every atom in your body will be replaced over time, some quickly, some slowly. But within a few years you'll be made of entirely different matter than you are now. And yet you'll still be you, still have your memories and personality and identity. You're not the matter you're made of. You're the pattern, the information, the organization. You're a process, not a thing, a verb pretending to be a noun. And like all processes, you cycle, wake and sleep, activity and rest, inhale and exhale, tension and these cycles are natural, essential part of how complex systems maintain themselves. You can't be awake all the time. You can't be active all the time. You need the downswing, the recovery, the restoration. Fighting against that need only makes things worse, creating exhaustion and stress and dysfunction. But accepting it, working with it, honoring the natural rhythms of your body and mind, that's how you thrive. So honor those rhythms now. Feel the tiredness in your body, the heaviness in your limbs, the softness in your thoughts. These aren't problems. They're signals, invitations, natural responses to a day lived. And the response to those signals is simple. Rest. Let go. Allow sleep to come in its own time, in its own way, without force or effort or struggle. You don't make yourself sleep. You allow sleep to happen by creating the conditions for it and then getting out of the way. The conditions are already here. You're lying down or sitting comfortably. You're safe. You're warm. The world is quiet or quiet enough. Your body is ready. All that remains is for your mind to stop trying to control things, stop planning and figuring things out. That's the hardest part, isn't it? Letting go of control, trusting that things will be okay without your constant vigilance, without your effort and attention and concern. But they will be. The universe has been managing itself for 14 billion years. Your body has been maintaining itself since before you were born, since you were just a few cells dividing in the womb, since your very first heartbeat. It knows what to do. It doesn't need your conscious mind to supervise respiration, or circulation, or digestion, or any of the thousands of processes that keep you alive. Your conscious mind is actually terrible. When you try to control your breathing or your heartbeat, you make them less efficient, more awkward. The unconscious systems that evolved over millions of years are far better at it than your conscious thought could ever be. So let those systems do their work. Let your breathing slow and deepen on its own. Let your heart rate settle into its resting rhythm. Let your muscles release their tension bit by bit, without effort or force. Let your mind drift, thoughts coming and going like clouds, not grabbing onto any of them. This is the state between waking and sleeping, the hypnagogic realm where the boundaries blur, where strange thoughts arise and logic loosens, and you begin to dream while still partly aware. It's a liminal space, this threshold between states. Many cultures have considered it sacred, a time when the veil between worlds grows thin, when insights arise, when creativity flows. The ancient Greeks called it the edge of sleep, and some philosophers would hold a stone in their hand as they drifted off, so that when it fell and woke them, they could capture the thoughts that arose in that transitional state. Artists and inventors have reported solving problems in that space, seeing solutions that eluded their waking minds, accessing a kind of knowing that doesn't depend on logical thinking. But you don't need to solve problems right now. You don't need insights or creativity or answers. You just need rest, deep and complete, the kind that only comes from surrendering fully to sleep, from letting consciousness dissolve into the deeper patterns of the sleeping brain. And that's happening already, whether you notice it or not. Your brain waves are slowing, shifting from the fast beta waves of active thinking to the slower alpha waves of relaxation, and soon to the even slower theta waves that mark the beginning of sleep. The lunar module is approaching the command module now, the spacecraft that will carry me home. Through the window, I can see it waiting, small and fragile-looking, against the vast backdrop of space. It's strange to think that this tiny capsule, this bubble of metal and plastic and electronics, is all that stands between me and the absolute void. But it's enough. It's been designed and tested and proven. It will carry me home safely, back to Earth, back to atmosphere and gravity. You have a vessel to your body, and it's carrying you through time instead of space, moving forward second by second, day by day, year by year, from birth toward death, from beginning toward ending. It's a good vessel, remarkably resilient and adaptable, capable of healing itself, defending itself, maintaining itself for decades with minimal conscious direction. But it needs care. It needs fuel and rest and movement and attention. And right now, what it needs most is sleep. The docking is complete, a soft metallic thunk as the modules connect. I'm floating through the tunnel now, weightless, pulling myself hand over hand into the larger spacecraft. Soon I'll fire the engines that will break us out of lunar orbit, that will send us falling back toward Earth, picking up speed as gravity pulls us home. It will take 3 days to cover the 250,000 miles, 3 days of coasting through the void, watching Earth grow larger in the window, watching the moon shrink behind us. But those 3 days will pass, as all time passes moment by moment, inexorable and patient. You can't speed time up or slow it down. You can only move through it, experiencing each moment as it comes, as fully as you can manage. And sometimes the fullest experience is to let go of experience itself, to sink below consciousness into the deeper waters of sleep, where time becomes elastic and strange, where hours pass in what feels like moments, where the mind processes and integrates without the interference of conscious thought. There's a kind of trust required for sleep, a willingness to let go of control, to become vulnerable, to surrender to unconscious. In evolutionary terms, sleep is risky. While you're sleeping, you can't watch for predators, can't respond to threats, can't protect yourself. And yet every animal sleeps in one form or another because the benefits outweigh the risks, because the body and brain need that downtime so desperately that evolution has built it into the very fabric of life. Even fruit flies sleep, even worms sleep. Even some plants have sleep-like states, folding their leaves at night, reducing their activity, conserving energy. It's universal, fundamental, ancient. Sleep evolved early, maybe even before brains existed in their current form, because the basic metabolic processes of life require cycles, require periods of reduced activity for restoration and repair. You're not fighting your programming when you sleep. You're fulfilling it, doing what you were designed to do, what billions of years of evolution have prepared you for. So trust that design. Trust that your body knows what it's doing, that when it tells you it's tired, it's not lying or being dramatic. It's giving you accurate information about its needs. And the response to that information doesn't require analysis or planning or decision-making. It just requires surrender, acceptance, the willingness to stop and rest, and let the day end. The engines fire, a long, powerful burn that pushes me back into my seat with gentle but insistent force. We're leaving lunar orbit now, heading home, beginning the long fall toward Earth. I can feel the acceleration, feel the return of something like weight after days of floating. It's strange how quickly you adapt to weightlessness, how normal it feels after just a short time. And it's equally strange how heavy everything seems when gravity returns, how much effort it takes to lift an arm or turn your head. You adapt to everything, given time. To weightlessness or gravity, to darkness or light, to noise or silence. Your nervous system is constantly adjusting, calibrating, trying to maintain stable functioning despite changing conditions. That's why you can sleep in different places, different beds, different situations. Your system learns, adapts, finds ways to rest, even when circumstances aren't ideal. It's remarkably flexible, remarkably robust. But it also benefits from consistency, from routine, from familiar cues that signal it's time to sleep. The same bedtime each night, the same pre-sleep rituals, the same environment. These patterns train your nervous system, make it easier to shift into sleep mode when the time comes. But even without those patterns, even in strange circumstances, sleep will eventually come. The pressure builds, the need intensifies, and eventually consciousness can't sustain itself anymore. Eventually, you have to sleep, and you're close now. So close. The vibrations from the moon are far behind me, too faint to detect over the noise of the engines and the systems keeping me alive. But in a way, I'm still carrying them, stored in memory and recordings, in the data that will be analyzed and studied and published. Those vibrations will teach us things, will answer questions, will probably raise new ones. They'll contribute to the ongoing human project of understanding the cosmos, of figuring out where we came from and how we got here and what it all means. But meaning is something we create, not something we find. The universe doesn't have inherent meaning. It just is, doing what it does, following natural laws, unfolding according to the properties of matter and energy and space-time. Meaning arises when conscious beings like us look at the universe and ask questions, tell stories, make connections. We create meaning through the act of interpretation, through the stories we tell ourselves about what we observe. And the story I'm telling myself right now, as I drift through, is about connection, about how the moon and Earth are bound together, how they affect each other, how they're part of the same system despite the vast distance between them, about how vibrations and waves and fields connect everything, creating a web of interactions that spans the cosmos, about how even the most distant things are part of the same unified whole, the same universe, governed by the same laws, made of the same fundamental stuff. You're part of that whole too, not separate from the universe, but an expression of it, a way the universe has found to know itself, to experience itself, to wonder about it. And that's extraordinary, miraculous even, not in a supernatural sense, but in the sense of being rare and precious and unlikely. The universe is mostly empty space, mostly cold and dark and silent. But here and there, in tiny pockets, complexity arises. Stars form, planets coalesce, chemistry becomes biology, life emerges, consciousness develops. And suddenly, in those rare and precious places, the universe wakes up and looks around and asks, "What is this? And how did I get here? And what does it mean?" Those are the questions that make us human, that distinguish us from simpler forms of life, that drive science and philosophy and art. But they're also exhausting questions, weighty and difficult, without clear or final answers. And sometimes the best response to those questions is not to answer them, but to simply rest, to let them go for a while, to sink below the level of questioning into the deeper peace of not knowing. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to understand the universe or your place in it or the meaning of existence. You can just be here, just exist, just breathe and rest, and let sleep come when it comes. The questions will still be there tomorrow if you want to return to them. They're not going anywhere, but right now, in this moment, you can be free of them, released from the burden of trying to make sense of things, allowed to simply drift. I'm drifting too, coasting through the void. Engines silent now, momentum carrying me home. Earth is growing in the window, still small but noticeably larger than it was an hour ago, than it was yesterday. The mathematics of orbital mechanics are beautiful and precise. Given the position and velocity of an object, you can calculate exactly where it will be at any future time, exactly what path it will follow. In a way, the future is determined, at least for objects moving under gravity's influence. Their course is set, their destination certain. But for conscious beings, the future is open, uncertain, full of possibilities. We make choices, change directions, create new paths that didn't exist before. We're not just passive objects responding to forces. We're agents, actors, creators of our own trajectories. And that freedom is both exhilarating and terrifying, a burden and a gift. It means we're responsible, but it also means we're capable, able to shape our lives and our world in meaningful ways. But not tonight. Tonight, you don't need to shape anything or choose anything or create anything. Tonight, you can rest from that freedom, set down that responsibility, and simply let things unfold as they will. Sleep doesn't require decisions. It just requires permission, the willingness to stop trying and start trusting, to stop doing and start being. The earth is blue and white in the window, clouds swirling, oceans reflecting sunlight, atmosphere glowing at the edge where space meets air. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I've been staring at it for hours, watching continents rotate into view and disappear again, watching weather systems develop and dissolve, watching the Terminator, the line between day and night, slowly march across the surface. From here, you can see both sunrise and sunset at the same time, light and darkness coexisting, separated by that fuzzy boundary where the atmosphere scatters light into twilight. Your mind is approaching that boundary too, the edge between waking and sleeping, between consciousness and unconsciousness. It's a gradual transition, not a sharp line, a slow fading rather than a sudden switch. Thoughts become less linear, more dreamlike. Perceptions shift and blur. Time becomes elastic. And then, at some point that you can never quite identify, you cross over. And you don't even notice the moment of transition because there is no moment, just a gradual dissolution of the waking self into the sleeping self, a transformation so smooth and natural that it seems to happen by itself. Because it does happen. Sleep is not something you do. It's something that happens to you, something your body does, a state you enter rather than create. And the paradox of sleep is that the more you try to make it happen, the less likely it is to occur. Effort defeats itself. Trying prevents sleeping. The only way to fall asleep is to stop trying, to let go of the intention to sleep, to simply rest and wait and allow. So allow now. Allow your thoughts to wander and fade. Allow your body to sink into heaviness. Allow your breathing to deepen and slow. Allow the world to recede, sounds growing distant, sensations growing faint, until all that remains is a dim awareness of existing, of being here, of floating in the gentle darkness behind. The moon is far behind me now, too small to see without magnification, lost in the black vastness, but its vibrations are still with me, recorded and preserved, ready to be analyzed and understood. And even without the recordings, even if they were lost, the vibrations would continue. The moon would keep singing its quiet song, keep trembling in response to Earth's gravity, keep recording impacts and quakes in the patient stone. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need to be heard or understood. It simply is, doing what it does, existing in the fullness of its being. You can exist that way too, without needing to be understood, without needing to justify or explain or make sense of yourself. You can simply be, simply exist, simply rest in the fact of your own. And right now, that presence is growing quiet, growing still, preparing to slip below the surface of consciousness into the deep. I'm thinking about the journey ahead, the re-entry, the heat and fire, as the spacecraft slams into Earth's atmosphere at 17,000 miles per hour. Friction turning velocity into heat, the heat shield glowing white hot. Plasma forming around the capsule, blocking radio signals for several minutes in the communications blackout that every astronaut knows is coming. But that still feels ominous. Being cut off from Earth, from mission control, from all contact, just before the most dangerous part of the journey. But the heat shield will hold. It always has. The mathematics are sound, the engineering proven. The spacecraft will slow and fall. Parachutes will deploy, and I'll splash down in the ocean, safe, having traveled to another world and returned. It's routine now, almost mundane, this impossible journey that would have seemed like magic just a few generations ago. Humans have walked on the moon. We've touched another world with our hands, collected its stones, looked back at Earth from its surface. And we'll do more, go farther, reach deeper into the solar system and perhaps beyond. But all of that is future, possibility, potential. Right now there's just this moment, this drifting, this quiet time between worlds, between experiences, between one chapter and the next. And in this liminal space, this threshold between, there's a special quality of peace, of suspension, of being nowhere in particular, and therefore everywhere at once. You're in a liminal space too, between waking and sleeping, between day and night, between the person you were when you woke up this morning and the person you'll be when you wake tomorrow. Sleep changes you subtly but significantly. memories consolidate, emotions process, perspectives shift. You wake up slightly different than you were when you went to sleep, even though you might not notice the change. That's why time heals, why problems that seem overwhelming at night often feel manageable in the morning, why sleeping on a decision is. Your brain is preparing for that, for the nocturnal processing that will organize your experiences, integrate them into your ongoing life story, make sense of the sensory chaos of waking life. It's doing important work, but it can only do that work when you stop interfering, when you get out of the way, when you surrender control and let the automatic systems take over. So surrender now. Let go of control. Let go of awareness. Let yourself dissolve into sleep, into dreams, into the quiet darkness where restoration happens. You've earned this rest. You've lived through another day, faced whatever challenges it brought, survived, continued. That's enough. That's more than enough. You don't need to do anything else, be anything else, prove anything else. You can simply rest now, simply sleep. Simply let the universe hold you as it holds everything, in the gentle but inexorable grip of gravity. And the earth grows larger. I can see individual continents now, make out the shapes of coastlines, recognize landmarks. Home is close, getting closer with every passing second. Soon I'll be back in atmosphere, back in gravity, back among people and weather and all the complexity of life on Earth. But for now, for these last hours, I'm still suspended between worlds, still floating in the quiet, still listening to the echoes that only instruments can hear, to the vibrations that speak of connection and history, and the deep structures that underlie visible reality. Those structures are supporting you too, even when you can't perceive them. Gravity holds you in place. Electromagnetism binds your atoms together. The strong nuclear force keeps your atomic nuclei from flying apart. The weak force enables the radioactive processes that warm Earth's interior. All of these forces, all of these fields are operating right now, have been operating since the beginning, will continue operating long after you're gone. You're held by them, sustained by them, part of them. And knowing that, feeling that, even dimly, even at the edge of sleep, perhaps you can relax a little more deeply, release a little more fully, trust a little more completely. The universe knows what it's doing. It's been doing it for a very long time. And you, right now, are part of what it's doing, part of the ongoing creation, the endless unfolding, the cosmic dance of matter and energy and information. But the dance can continue without your attention. You can close your eyes, let the music fade, and rest. You can trust that when you wake, the dance will still be going, the universe will still be unfolding, and you'll be ready to step back in, to take your place, to contribute your small but precious part to the grand performance. For now, though, rest. Let the vibrations from the moon fade into silence. Let the engines quiet. Let the stars dim. Let everything grow soft and distant and dreamlike. Let sleep come, gentle as moonlight, inevitable as gravity, natural as breathing. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. Good night.